All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Peter, and I'm glad you're here. This is episode number 20. Can you believe that? Some of you guys have and gals have been with me for 20 weeks, and I appreciate you so much. My whole goal here is to demystify commercial real estate and help you get in and do your first deal. That's the whole goal here. All right. So do me a favor to make sure you can hear me. Go ahead and put in the chat where you're calling from. All right. I see Dean from Maryland, Charles from Houston. I have Hannah from Philly. I have Stephen, Beverly, Pete, Latoya, Shakita, Pete, Jasmine. I see our support team. Welcome, everyone. Jose, Robert, Corey, Ed, Terrence, T-Com, Robert, another Corey, Kisiwa. All right, what a cool name. All right, Teresa, Frank, Todd, Immacula, what another cool name. Kay from Tennessee. All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. We have another fantastic hour for you, and I appreciate you being here. What we're going to talk about tonight is something I really want you to pay attention to. It's really important. We're going to talk about wholesaling tonight, and I'll tell you why we're talking about it. It should be part of your game plan if you want to learn how to make money in commercial real estate, okay? But before I get started, do me a favor, all right? Can you put in the chat who your favorite athlete is? Yeah, your favorite athlete, all right? Is it Michael Jordan? Is it Messi? Is it Gretzky? Is it Serena Williams? Oh, someone says both. Emmett Smith, Drew Brees? Yes. Jordan, Ali, Wimby. There you go. All right. Joe Burrow. All right. Magic Johnson. That's right. Bo Jackson. Hey, he's the man. All right. Michael Schumacher. All right. Yes. Bruce Lee. Yes. I got a poster of him right there. All right. Jordan Love. Oh, interesting. Shaq. James Harrison. All right. The Beast. He's awesome. Mike Schmidt. Interesting. Charles Barkley. Okay. Someone says I don't have a favorite. That's cool too. All right. Herschel Walker. Someone says too many to be named. All right. Schwarzenegger. Yes. Jordan Childs. That's cool. Reggie White. He's like my hero. That's awesome. All right. Thanks everyone for sharing that. I want to share with you who my favorite athlete is, right? It's going to surprise you. So my favorite athlete of all time, and I'll tell you why, it's Mike Tyson, okay? And it's the 20-year-old Mike Tyson who became the world champion at age 20 years, 4 months, and 22 days. He became the world champion heavyweight, right? At that young age. And his story is just incredible, right? And the reason why Mike Tyson is because of what he did. So let me share with you what he did. And I kind of modeled it my own life too. So I saw an interview of Mike Tyson, and basically in the interview, they asked Mike, 19, 20 years old, Mike, how did you become the world champion at 20 years, 4 months, and 22 days old? And he goes, in Mike Tyson's voice, he said, simple. He said, when my opponent got up at 6 o'clock to go to the gym, I got up at 3. He said, when my opponent worked out 2 times per day, I worked out 3. When he ran 5 miles a day, I ran 8, right? When he watched film on his opponent, when his opponent watched film, when he watched film on his opponent for hour and a half, he watched it for 4 hours, all right? And what fascinated me about Mike wasn't his power, okay? It was his preparation. So by the time he stepped into the ring, right, he already won in his mind, right? And the reason why is because here's something he knew that's powerful. Confidence is not magic, right? Confidence is preparation. So that lesson stayed with me for my entire life, even today. And I realized the same thing applies to commercial real estate, to business, to the sports I play, to success in general. So when I first started investing in commercial real estate to achieve financial freedom, I for sure wasn't the smartest guy in the room, right? I wasn't the richest guy, and I for sure didn't have all the answers. But I could prepare, right? I could study while others watch ESPN after work, right? I could learn deals while others made excuses why they didn't want to do this, right? I could learn how to analyze and underwrite properties while others doubted themselves, right? I could show up, right, consistently while others quit, right? And after enough preparation, something inside will change in you, okay? Fear starts leaving, confidence starts rising, opportunities will start appearing, I guarantee you. And it's not because life got easier, it's because you got stronger. Okay. So some of you listening tonight are intimidated with investing. I know because I'm a coach and I meet all the students. Okay. You think other people are maybe ahead of you, right? You think you need more money or more education or more experience, or or they're just better than you, right? Maybe, right? But the question is, can they out prepare you, right? Can they outstudy you? Can they outlast you, right? Can they outfocus you? And most important, can they outbelieve you? Can they outbelieve you, right? Because if the answer is no, then your future is still wide open. So tonight, I want to challenge you, right? Don't focus on what I call, trying to be the most talented in the room. Focus on being the most prepared. Okay, you can do that. Anyone can do that, because when opportunity finally steps into the ring with you, you'll know without a shadow of a doubt you will be ready, right? So when I do these Tuesday nights, that's what it's about, getting you guys ready to enter the ring so you can be the world champion heavyweight or welterweight or champion of whatever you want to do, right? And multifamily and commercial, in self-storage, what have you, right? It starts with preparation, and this is what we do every Tuesday night to prepare you to win. All right? Okay. So thanks everyone for that. So what I want to do next is this right here. I want to share something. I want to start off. I'm going to share with you my training here, and let me get to that. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share. All right. Okay. All right. So again, episode 20, right? Amazing, amazing. And today, wholesale, commercial wholesaling for beginners. All right. And I have an amazing guest tonight who's going to share with you his journey in wholesaling. He didn't come into our program to wholesale, but what he did was he came in to look for opportunities to do acquisitions. And once the acquisitions didn't work for whatever reason, and they were good deals, he flipped it to wholesale and still made money, right? So that's our angle tonight, to teach you how to do this. All right. Okay. So what I want to do, I'm going to start off with a quick poll here. Let me grab the polls, like I always do here. The polls really help me kind of angle tonight of what I want to teach. Okay. All right. There we go. Let me relaunch this one here. All right. Okay. Check out this poll right here, right? If you had a multifamily deal under contract but couldn't close, would you want to know how to still profit from it, right? Put your answers there. All right. The first answer is yes. Teach me that skill. Answer number 2 is I didn't know that was possible. And number 3, no thanks. I'll just walk away from the possibility. All right. So let me see here. All right. 94% of you all, right, want to say, yes, teach me that skill. And about looks like 7% now is saying, I didn't know that was possible. All right. So you're in the right room tonight. Okay. You're in the right room tonight. All right. Okay, great. All right. And in the poll there, let me ask you this question since we're talking about wholesaling. All right. All right. Oh, let me stop this poll here. 1 second and launch this one. All right. Okay, there we go. Share with me, and right here in the answer, have you ever done a commercial wholesaling deal? Right? The answer is yes or not yet. Put your answer there. Let me see your answer here. All right. I have 4% said yes, and 95, 96% are saying not yet. Okay, well, again, you're in the right space, you're in the right room tonight. Tonight, you're gonna learn how to do it, okay? You're gonna learn how to take a deal, even if you don't have a lot of money or sometimes no money, but you have a desire, and now you're gonna I'm gonna give you a certain skill set to go out and create these opportunities, okay? With commercial wholesaling. All right, so I'm gonna end the poll here. Thank you. All right, we end up with 96% said not yet, 4% said yes. All right, awesome. All right, end the poll there. All right, so let's get started here. All right, I ran my poll. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Put this in the chat right here. Here's a question for you. What is the scariest part of wholesaling a 5 to 20 unit property for you, right? So if you haven't wholesale, put the thought of wholesaling in your mind, right? And you have a 5 to 20 unit opportunity. What's the scariest part? Put that in the chat. What would that be? Let me know. Financing and getting it managed. Remember, Wayne, we're not financing and getting it managed. We're wholesaling it. Okay, so you're not owning it. You're flipping the contract to make money. All right. Let's see. Shannon says circumvention. Ah, very good, Shannon. So Shannon, today I'm going to share with you how to not get circumvented. Okay. Tommy says down payment. Now remember, Tommy, we're not putting up a down payment. We're putting up a small earnest money deposit to get it under contract. Once we have it under contract, we're going to flip it to a buyer. That's wholesaling, whether it's residential or commercial. Okay, same process. Anthony is saying lack of money and knowledge. Okay, we're going to help you with that tonight. All right. Don says not scary, just a lack of confidence. All right. Gregory says losing money. All right. Michelle says finding the deal. Okay. And all right. Okay. Kojo is so honest. He says, I don't know. That's great. All right. Jimmy says not finding a buyer. Okay, awesome. Thank you for those questions. All right, now, based upon your answers, I'm going to share with you one thing about just a basic principle of wholesaling before I get into the wholesaling outline. Here's how you wholesale a deal, right? You're going to find a great deal, right? And I'll define for you what great is. You're going to get it under contract. Then you're going to go out and find a buyer, right? A qualified buyer. Then you're going to flip the contract to the buyer for money and get paid at closing. That's wholesaling, okay? There's a lot of technical things in between I'm going to share tonight, but that's what it is in essence, okay? All right. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing in the chat. The chat is pretty wild today. Oh, Mark is saying getting stuck with it. All right, so we're going to talk about that too, Mark. All right, so the next thing I want to share with you, one of the benefits of wholesaling is you don't need a down payment. Okay, you don't have a down payment is no problem. Okay, so the number one obstacle stopping beginners from investing in commercial real estate is a down payment. Okay, so typically the lenders want 25 to 30%. Okay, commercial wholesaling is a solution if you don't have that because it lets you make money with little to no money of your own. It helps you build savings to fund your own deals later. And that's what my guest student did. He did enough wholesale deals, saved his money, and then bought his own property. Okay. And it allows you to learn the market and build your investor network. Okay. This business is such a relationship-based business. All right. Okay. Now, it's also the ultimate backup plan. Okay. So if you have a good deal under contract, but you can't close, you're going to wholesale it. Okay. So let's say you're short on cash and you couldn't come up with a down payment at closing. Don't cancel the contract. You assign it to a qualified buyer and you make your money. Okay. Next is middle, poor financing. Let's say you have it under contract and all the lenders give you high interest rates or high down payments and the deal makes no sense. You get poor financing. What you can do, if it's still a good deal, you can find a qualified buyer who's more qualified than you. He can get better terms. You assign it to that buyer and you make money from it. Okay. And number three, you just may have a change of heart. Okay. You simply decided not to buy the deal, timing or what have you. But if it's a good deal, why not make money off of it? Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay. All right. So in wholesaling, you are the middleman, and that is a good thing. Okay. You are in the middle. You are the wholesaler. Take your eyes in the middle of the screen. You find a deal, you're going to contract it, you're going to sign it to a buyer, and then you're going to profit without owning. The seller who's motivated gets a quick sale, no repairs to make, right? And the buyer on the far right-hand side is an experienced investor. They get a below market deal. They get a good deal. They get a deal with built-in equity. And it's also a win-win for everyone. Okay. So you never actually purchase the property when you wholesale. You control it with a contract. Then you transfer or sign that contract to a qualified buyer for a wholesale fee. Okay. That's what we do. My guest today is very good at it. And he's going to share with you his whole process and how he's done his deals. Okay. All right. And then you already have most of what you need to begin this. Okay. All right. So you don't need a real estate license. You don't need a large down payment. You don't need years of experience. You don't need perfect credit. What you do need is a cell phone, a computer, specialized knowledge that we can give you, persistence, and then a willingness to start. That's all you need. Okay. The most important step is to begin the process. Okay. And tonight I'm going to give you an opportunity to begin this process very quickly. All right. So this is really important here to understand this. How commercial real estate and residential real estate wholesaling differ. Number one is in commercial, there's very little competition, right? When's the last time you heard of a person wholesaling commercial real estate? You don't hear it very often. There are literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of residential wholesalers out there. There's just a fraction of that in commercial, okay? Because they don't understand it, okay? So that's you. You're going to be changed tonight, all right? Number two is commercial has serious buyers with real capital with a long-term horizon, right? And they also would do repeat deals with you. So they're looking to build their portfolio. They're not buying a home to live in, okay? They are buying something they can, if you're good at finding deals, you'll have a list of buyers waiting for you. Number three, the profits are much, much higher, okay? They're going to range from 10,000 on up, okay? On up, hundreds of $1,000s on the right deal, okay? All right. And apartments are the ideal wholesale property, in my opinion, doing this for so long. Number one, apartments are easy to analyze. There's higher demand for them. There's a lot of them, plentiful supply. Financing is pretty simple on multifamily, and smaller deals are easier to do. Okay, and there's a tip at the bottom of the screen. Okay, mom and pop landlords are easier to negotiate than with institutional owners. Okay, which leads me to this screen here, which is the sweet spot. Okay, 5 to 50 units. We stay out of the institutional range where you have the big Wall Street firms, big syndication companies. They don't do 5 to 50 units, right? They do something larger. So if you want to be a successful wholesaler, this is where you need to be, in that sweet spot between 5 and 50 units. Okay. All right. A lighter competition, you got more buyers, and it's just plain easier to do. Okay. So middle market is the way to go. All right. All right. Here's step one is find an off-market deal. Okay. The deal must be on market. Now, when you find a deal that's off market, what type of deal should it be? I get this question all the time. Here are the 3 deal attributes you need to have to make a deal wholesalable. Number one is you want it to be priced under market, right? And most deals that are not off market are not priced under market, okay? Things that are on market are priced over market. So you want your deal to be priced under market to make it attractive, all right? Number two is you want rent upside potential. You want the ability to raise the rents, which raises the NOI, which forces the appreciation. Those types of deals are very exciting to wholesale, okay? And number three, you want to be in a good neighborhood. You know the saying, you can't outmanage a property in a bad neighborhood, right? So you need the property to be in a good neighborhood. Who wants to buy a property in a bad neighborhood? So those three things are very, very important. That's step one. Okay. All right. Here's something for the chat for you. Why is it easier to wholesale an off-market deal than a deal that's listed online? Put your answers in the chat. Is it A, most deals listed online are overpriced? B, most deals listed online do not cash flow enough to be attractive? C, real estate agents prefer not to work with a wholesaler? Or D, all the above? All right, put your answer in the chat. Let's see. I have some D's. I have all the above. I have all. All right. Okay. You guys or gals are so smart, right? That's the answer. Anthony, Rick, yeah, Deborah, that's the answer right here. The answer is all the above. Okay, most deals listed online are overpriced. You guys know that. Okay. B, most deals listed online do not cash flow because they're overpriced. And C, most deals that don't cash flow that are online are controlled by agents. They don't want to work with wholesalers. Okay. So this is why we want your deal to be off market. Okay. Working directly with the seller. Got it? All right. Let's go to step number two. Step number two is to get it under contract the right way. No contract equals no deal. We're not teaching any bird dogs here, okay? So you need to have it under contract or you're not doing it right, okay? The contract needs to have, the first box says an assignability clause. That gives you a right to assign the contract to your buyer legally, okay? So our contract and most contracts out there do have an assignability clause. Make sure yours has it. Number two, you need to have a 30 to 60-day inspection and finance period. So you need to give your buyer enough time to do their due diligence so they feel comfortable with the deal to go through with it. Okay. And then number three, a small non-refundable earnest money deposit, $1,000 to $2,500, right? When you go direct to owners, you can get a property, $1 million contract, $1 million property under contract for $1,000 to $2,500. Okay, you can. If you're working with a broker, they won't allow that. Okay, hence my step number one is you need to do this with an off-market deal. Okay, and then the last bullet point here is to push out closing as long as you can, 60 to 75 days to give you enough time to find a buyer. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Here, put your answer in the chat. All right, true or false? Instead of using a purchase contract to get your property under contract, in some cases, you can use a letter of intent or an LOI. It serves the same purpose. Is that true or false? True or false? Put your answers in the chat. All right, so true or false? All right, I'm seeing a lot of, I think you all are about 50-50 on this. Yeah, I see 50-50. All right, I'm starting to see a trend. Someone says that it depends. All right, okay, all right, here's the answer, right? When you want to wholesale a property, we need to use a legally binding contract. A letter of intent is not legally binding. In fact, the letter of intent will say it in one or maybe sometimes two places that this is not a legally binding contract, right? So when you use an LOI, you don't have the property under contract. It's not legally binding, okay? So you need to use a contract that's signed by you and signed by the seller, okay? Not a letter of intent. Letter of intent is just an intent to purchase. There's no promise to purchase, okay? All right, got it. All right, let's go on to step three. Step three is really important. That's find and qualify your buyer. This is really important, okay? And the golden rule is to qualify them to commercial standards. That means they need to show you that they have 25 to 30% as a down payment, okay? If they can't show you 25 to 30% down payment, they are not your buyer, okay? All right, and then the second requirement is for them to have closed at least one investment property, okay? It can be a single family home investment property. If you have a potential buyer who's closed nothing ever, that's not your person. You're just going to get disappointed. They need to have one investment property transaction under the belt or you can't work with them. Okay. In addition to that, you need to show the money. So don't waste time on buyers who can't close. All right. Okay. Here's your question here. Put your answer in the chat. If you fail to qualify your buyer, you run the risk of what? A, getting a flat tire. B, ruining your reputation with the seller. Or C, high blood pressure. Put the answer in the chat. Put the answer, someone said B and C. All right. Another couple of B and both. All right. Yes, the answer is B, right? When you wholesale, your relationship is at stake, so you must do it right. I can't tell you how many wholesalers are out there in the world right now. They're awful. They don't respect the seller. They don't do it right. They don't run the numbers. They're not professional, right? They do everything that we don't teach, right? And then so we teach to be professional, know your numbers, respect the seller, and really know how to do this professionally. Really important. You don't want to ruin your reputation with the seller, because they're gonna, once you get on the contract, they won't want to work with you. Okay, so it's really, really important. This is a business of having integrity. Okay, all right. Let me show you a quick case study here. The case study is this. Let's say you have a 5-unit apartment deal. Okay, this one's very simple. Let's say the market value of your 5-unit is $500,000, and it has estimated repairs of $25,000, but you get it under contract for $425,000. Okay, and then your buyer is going to buy it at $450,000. Okay, so your buyer is going to be in it for $450,000 plus $25,000 for repairs. So your buyer is all in at $475,000, but the market value is $500,000. So your buyer is walking in with $25,000 in equity. Okay, so your assignment fee will be what's remaining, the $25,000. Okay, so after paying you $25,000, the buyer still has $25,000 in equity. All right. Okay, so there you go. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, John is saying, seems you need a pool of buyers before you even look for commercial property. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That would be great if you did, but if you're starting from scratch, you don't have that, Don. So what you're going to have to do is get a very good property under contract that's priced on the market, ability to raise rents in a good neighborhood, and you're going to market it like we teach you, like crazy. And then you're going to pull in a bunch of buyers. Okay. We have a property, an 8-unit in Florida under contract right now. In 1 weekend of marketing, we pulled in 25 buyers. There's no pool until Saturday when they started marketing. Now they have 25 buyers to choose from. Why? Is because it was a good deal and it was marketed correctly and professionally. Okay. That's the key. Okay. All right. Commercial is way different from residential. Residential is kind of the wild, wild west. In commercial, everything has a place and a function to do, and it needs to be professional. Okay. All right. Jasmine is asking, what if you don't have the earnest money, though, as a beginner? Then what? Well, Jasmine, you need to find it. If you find a life-changing deal that can change your life and you need to come up with $1,000, you need to come up with $1,000. End of story. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one here. All right, so from this case study, here's a step-by-step. Find step number 1 to go from the deal to $25,000 payday that I just explained. Find an off-market deal, negotiate the price, get an assignable contract, create a marketing package, right? Assign to the buyer, and then close your deal. 6 steps. That's what we teach. Okay, that's what we teach. All right. Mark is asking, just $1,000 for an earnest money deposit? Absolutely, Mark. Mark, you're used to working with real estate agents. They want $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, right? Because they're an agent. When you go direct to the seller and you have a great relationship, you trust them, they trust you, $1,000 will allow you to get $1 million property under contract. Okay, we've done it. All right, okay, all right. Okay, let's go. Okay, I'm going to skip this part here. All right, let's go here. Let's go to my favorite go or no-go game. Who's ready for that? Put in the chat. Who's ready for a go, no-go game? All right. Mario's ready. Michael's ready. All right. Warren, Edgar, Victor, Juanita. All right, let's go. All right, here we go. All right, go or no go. Okay, scenario number one, the non-assignable contract. You find a great off-market 12-unit apartment building. The seller agrees to your price, but the attorney insists on using a standard stay contract, includes a strict not assignable clause. Is this a go or no go? Okay, is this a go or no go? All right, Jennifer, you are correct. This is a no go, right? You need to have the contract with an assignability clause so that we can assign it. Okay, there are ways around it. I won't go on it today, but there are ways around it when that does happen. But that is what you need to have. All right, let's go to scenario number two. So number two is the tired out-of-state landlord. The contract, you contact an out-of-state owner of an 8-unit property. They call you back, exhausted from dealing with a bad property manager. Rents are 30% below market, and they agree to sell it to you with 20% below market as is. All right. The chat's going crazy already, so I don't know why I'm going through this. Okay. All of you say it's a go, and it is a go. All right. I have a person that says no go, but this is a go. All right. So, and the reason why is when a property is when the rents are 30% below market, right? The seller's motivated, right? Because the bad property manager, we can fix that. And you can buy it 20% below market, right? This is a go. This is what we call the holy grail of wholesaling. Off market, below market value, clear upside potential for your end buyer. These are, if this is in a good neighborhood, this is a no-brainer to wholesale, okay? And my guest, who will be on in about 5 minutes, this is exactly what he does. This is exactly what he finds, and this is exactly what he does to make his money, all right? And in fact, he made enough money to buy his own property, okay? All right. Okay, let's go to scenario number three. Number three is you find a 15-unit building owned by a sweet older couple who haven't raised rents in 10 years, okay? First of all, how are you going to find a property like that? You have to go off market, okay? That's our MO. That's our specialty at Commercial Property Advisors, okay? It says the building is in a great neighborhood but needs cosmetic updates. You negotiate a purchase price based on the current actual income, not the potential future income. Is this a go or no go? All right, put in the chat. Jennifer, Alex says go. All right, Deborah says go. Pat says go. All right, Estelle says go. Timothy, David says go. The answer is go. This is a go, okay? Pricing based on current actual leaves all the meat on the bone, the forced appreciation for your buyer, okay? Make it an easy wholesale assignment. So if you can do a deal like this, it makes it so much easier. And again, I know I'm overemphasizing this, but you are not going to find deals like this on LoopNet or Crexi or on Zillow, okay? You're going to have to go off market and find these types of deals, okay? It's so important. Got it? All right. Let's see what questions we have. All right. All right. Keith is asking, when you say off market, what is that? Keith, off market means you can't find them online. Okay. They're not on Zillow. They're not on LoopNet. They're not on Crexi. Right. They're not listed by an agent. They are off market. You won't find them on market. Okay. Off market. Okay. Hopefully I answered your question. All right. All right. Let's see. Jeremy says every program goes off market. They can, but probably not like us. Okay, probably not like us. All right, all right. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, let me check my timing. Oh, you know what? Everyone, it's time. It's time to introduce our student, Dozie. Here's a quick word about him. When you think of our student, Dozie, knowing your why empowers you, okay? Beginners can start now. You don't need huge money at first. Action teaches faster than theory. You will hear that from him. That will come from his lips. And then his whole thing is wholesaling can be a stepping stone, not the final destination. So here's his story. I'm going to invite Dozie on to the show here. All right, Dozie, where are you? Let's get on here and let's get started here. Let me know when you're there.
All right, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, can you hear you, Dozie? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Peter. How you doing?
Great, great. Everyone, as you can see, Dozie is a young guy. He's 31 years old, single dad. He works he's a power engineer. So he has a good job, right? Meaning that he's much in demand. So what he does is, AI needs a lot of power centers to power AI. Dozie is right in the middle of that. So about 45 minutes ago, he just came back from work. So, Dozie, thank you for being with us tonight and sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So, Dozie, I want to start. Let's talk about your deal. Let's jump straight into your wholesale deal. Okay. So, this was a deal you wholesaled. It's a 20 unit multifamily property. Let's talk about this deal. How did this happen?
Well, Peter, so I marketed for this property off market. The seller contacted me. It was she had bought the property. She taken some loan. She had remodeled it. She was an artist, so she painted every unit individual. Everything, every unit was unique. Had his own theme that was going with it, but she wasn't managing it really well. Even though
Mm,
she had remodeled it, she just didn't have the experience and the knowledge. It was a good project, but she didn't just get the full picture. And on top of that, she was out of state. She had relocated
mm.
out of the country, so managing this was a headache for her. Having her tenants pay, she was collecting rent from the tenants directly. So when when she contacted me from my marketing and we talked about it, and I gave her an offer, and at first we didn't agree on price. And knowing where her pain point was, I structured the deal creatively, so we can have the right price and terms. And we she agreed to that. And the cool thing about this deal is my intention was to buy it. I was like, wow, I found
Yeah.
this deal. I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna own a 20 unit. And I needed to raise capital, and that didn't work out. But I had done all the hard work, the due diligence that goes with buying a deal, everything but just the capital part. And in the process of my due diligence, the property manager that if I bought the deal that I was gonna have him manage it on my behalf, a professional property manager, I just brought it up to him like, "Hey, would you know anyone that might want to buy this?" And he said,
Mm.
"Well, I think we have partners." And it turned out that he was the partner he was talking about. So we talked, and he had seen all the due diligence we did. He was there doing the due diligence, so I signed the deal to him for a wholesale fee, and we're able to close this. And I made a wholesale profit of 25,000 in this case.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Awesome. So that's often how it happens, huh, Dozie? You went in
Hmm.
with the intention of buying it yourself and didn't work out. So rather than pass up on it, you wholesaled it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how our program works, right? We go in, all of our students, we go in with the intention of buying it, right? And if it doesn't work out, we wholesale it if it's a good deal. And this is exactly what Dozie did. And another interesting thing here, Dozie, that you told me is you never met the seller. Is that right?
I never met her. We corresponded over phone and text messages. We talked, and because I didn't close it on closing day, by the time I signed the contract, the property manager went to the title company to sign it, and she also did, but I wasn't there. I just got my check from the title company, everything through email. I only talked to her on phone. I actually never met her because she lived in Mexico, and she eventually came back during closing time, but I wasn't in town then. I was traveling for work.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Dozie, do you remember what the spread was? You made 25,000, but how good
Mhm.
of a deal was this to your end buyer?
Oh, it was an amazing deal.
Mm,
Because one, the deal was creatively structured, so he
mm,
didn't even have to come with the full 25% down payment.
mm. Yeah.
So that was one. And being that, so that made the deal very attractive. His ROI was really, really good. Off the top of my head, the property appraised, I want to say for maybe 100,000 more actually. If just
Wow.
yeah, so he walked in with equity. on a good deal. So that's why, and he was my property manager. That's why he jumped on it immediately the moment he found that when I said, "Hey, I might be looking to sell this," and he was like, "Yeah, I have partners." At first, he didn't want to disclose that it was him, so he said he had partners, and then after a while, he's like, "I'm buying this for my wife." Yeah, so so
Awesome.
he made good money. Yeah, I'm happy for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's
Hmm.
great. All right. And let's talk about the second deal here. On this one,
Hmm.
you made 20,000 and on a small 3-unit property, right? Let's talk about this one for a second.
Yeah. So very similar flavor. I marketed. The seller had contacted me. He was a really nice man. And the beauty about this is you get to meet people, you get to learn about them, their issues, what they're going through. He had done the property really nice. He was a concrete contractor. So as you can see, everything was concrete in the inside. The cabinets were concrete. The floor was concrete. Very, very solid property.
Mm,
It was a 5 unit, but for whatever reason, they were operating as a 3 unit. They had taken, it was built as a 5 unit, but they had
mm,
taken two of the units that were 2 bedroom, one baths and combined it to the 3 bedroom, two baths. So they didn't
mm,
also have the knowledge that it would be better off as a 5 unit so they can get the commercial, they can raise the rent and increase the value. So when he contacted me and we talked about the deal, I gave him an offer. Then I didn't know it was a 5 unit. Then I went down to see the property. I met him and his wife. We walked through the property. I saw the electric meter on the outside, and I saw it had 5 meters. Everything was in fives, and I was like, huh. So I immediately
mm,
recognized the value you could get because it was already built like that. The county has already approved it. You could get just by turning it back into a 5 unit, but he did not know that. He did not know that. So we talked, and I eventually found out that the reason he was selling was for health reasons. So I put it on the
mm.
contract, uh, understanding what he was going through personally. So I didn't want to disappoint him and his wife, knowing that they were not selling it for money reasons. They were pretty okay. They were just downsizing because of his health. I put it on the contract. And then I marketed to find a buyer. And when I brought a buyer in and I explained the value to him, at first my buyer was like, I'm not sure. Then I was like, hey, this is the value here. We can turn this into this. And again, I wanted to buy the property myself, but it wasn't working out. So I used my plan B to get a buyer. So when I explained it to my buyer had never met me before. We were talking over the phone. He's like, what's your account number? I'll send you your fee right now. I was like, whoa, it doesn't work that way. He's like, I want this deal. He had never met me and he wired me $20,000. And of
Wow.
course, I'm a good person, so I transferred everything to him. And he eventually closed on it. And we became friends ever then. I was like, wow, you never met me. You sent me 20,000. You crazy. It's like, yeah, it was too good to be true. And this guy, he's now my partner. A year later, now I'm working another deal and he's working on it with me as well. Yeah. So we became friends after that. And we
That's
just stuck through. Again, I helped him set up the deal. The property manager he uses, I found it for him. Everything. I gave him the due diligence package and he just jumped into it.
yeah, yeah. I think the key here is your intention was out there to do this business, to go in and buy it, and if it didn't work out, you would wholesale it, right? So
Yes.
you did the most important thing. You took that step into the business, and look what's happening, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
closed, well, we're just showing these two deals, and then this one here that you purchased yourself, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So was this one off market too, Dozie?
Yes, this was off market. So I had a package of deals that I was working on. Actually, I closed this one the same time I was just when I wholesaled the 5 unit you just showed. So I had both of them on the contract, but the dates were staggered different. So I
Mhm.
figured I didn't have the money either. So immediately I got the assignment fee from the previous deal. I used it to buy this one. So in this case, I marketed for this deal again. Seller reached out to me. And the seller, the guy that sold me this property, Peter, he's a lifelong friend. Mr. Walt is
Mhm.
his name. 86 years old. And he
Wow.
just told me the other day he fought in Vietnam, man. This is a cool story. There
Wow.
were 13 people in his class who got drafted into the war, and only him and his friend made it back. So two people.
Wow.
So really cool. He flies a plane, he has a boat, he's a great man. Great man. So again, he was older and was trying to just downsize on management. Property was in good shape, nothing wrong at all. Rents were on the market. and I was gonna buy it. I was gonna buy it. And then when buying it was not working out, I came to him and I said, "Well, Mr. Walt, I don't have a financial partner to take this deal down with me. I might have to back out on this." And he's like, "Well, how much do you have?" And I was like, "Well, like $5,000." He's like, "No, you got to do better than that, Dozie." And he was like, "Can you bring 20?" I was like, "I could," because I knew I was working on a deal that would give me 20. And my partner Jesse had sent me 20,000. So I was like, "Okay, that can go into this." So I negotiated a seller financing with him. He didn't really want any tax burden if he sold, and he was just looking for stable
Mm,
income. So I negotiated a seller finance. I used my down payment from the previous deal to this. It was 100% occupied already. It was cash flowing on day one with the seller financing, with insurance and everything. So that's how I got it. And it was my first deal that I bought. That's how it all worked out. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone, put in the chat. Put in the chat. Do you think you can do what Dozie's doing? Put in the chat, right? Did Dozie describe something so complex that you can't do commercial? Do you believe you can do what Dozie did? And yeah, look at the chat. Dozie, everyone says yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So you can do this. All right. So that's that's awesome, Dozie. All right. And everyone out there, what I want to share is, this business is such a relationship-based business, and I get the honor of working with people like Dozie. Just amazing. And by the way, these properties, there's a question here. These properties are located in Texas. So just to let you know. But Dozie, could you share? This is so important. Share with us what your why is. What's your why, Dozie?
Yeah. So my why is a combination of things. One, personally, I grew up in Nigeria. I was born there, and the opportunities to come to the US to do my education, my parents sacrificed for me to do that.
Mm,
So I felt that I have, and to me, I'm my parents' real estate investment, quote unquote, right? So I felt that okay, being here, I have to succeed so I can even take care of them. And Nigerians, our culture, we don't have nursing homes. We take care of our parents when they're
mm,
old. We're the kind of their
mm,
retirement. So basically being able to give back to my parents, my family, that was really, really big for me and my son as well. My son's autistic, just making sure I give him everything to succeed. So that's more on the personal side. And then my dream of what I really want to do is I'm very fascinated with power and electricity. And Nigeria and so many countries in Africa, so many cities in the world live in darkness. So
mm.
I figured if I could get into real estate, make a lot of money, I can go back and do projects in power, whether
Yeah,
it's microgrid, solar systems, that kind of thing to help communities because it's a difference between someone going being in the hospital and there's no electricity and you know that's life and death, or even a restaurant that just can't offer you a cold beer just because of no electricity. So being
mm,
able to solve that is something that gets me going. So those are my two whys. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome, Dozie. Everyone out there in our audience, do you see why commercial properties was born for people like Dozie with these very important, huge whys? And we use commercial real estate as the vehicle, right? And so, Dozie, next question is, your dad was very influential, and he had a quote, and the quote was, "Son, if you can't get the cow, get the tail."
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
that mean, and what does that mean to you in real estate in business too?
Yeah, so when I started and I wanted to acquire properties, and my mind was, okay, I'm coming, I just want to buy commercial properties. And it didn't feel like it was working out because I didn't have the money. I didn't have the
Mm,
down payment. And my dad really told me, well, if you have a cow and you can't get the cow, just cut the tail and you can make oxtail out of the tail. So you can get something out of it. So that gave me a shift in mindset that, okay, if I have this property, I don't have the money to buy it, I can give it to someone else who has the money to buy it. I make some money for myself. I gain experience. I've virtually done everything but buy it. So I
yeah,
gain experience, and not only do I make money, I gain experience, and I also gain the relationship. So now I know the property managers, the buyer, who might have other buyers, the title company. So the tail, a cow tail is pretty. There's a lot of meat. There's a lot of meat in a cow tail, and yeah. So and that's yeah. So my dad gave me that perspective, and I kind of just adopted that to my business model as opposed to just thinking just buy buy buy. You can also find ways to wholesale and make money.
Yeah. So just going back on the two deals you've done so far, how important was wholesaling an off-market deal versus something on market?
I think it's everything, right? Because essentially what you're doing is you're providing value for someone. You find a seller who has a reason why they want to sell, and they might not be on the market. Like for
Mm,
example, the guy just mentioned he had health reasons. He had a heart issue. He might not want to list his property with a real estate agent and have
yeah.
to do with showings. He might want a private life. It's very touchy. So I'm helping him solve that problem because this is off market. So I'm coming to him. I'm finding my way to find him to solve that issue. And then because I create that value for him, I'm very valuable to him. I'm also finding a buyer. Okay. And because it's off market, we can negotiate price and terms. And I've created this value and I'm passing that value to a buyer who's also very excited that, oh, I cannot find this deal on LoopNet, Craigslist, Zillow.
Yeah.
This is better than I can see anywhere. Like, wow. So the buyer is also excited and my seller is excited that they're getting rid of it. And I just basically marry them and make a profit. Now, if it was on the market, I couldn't do that because my buyer would have already everyone would have seen it and there's really no value there. So it's like I'm really finding something of value where no one is looking and passing that value to my buyer. The seller's happy, the buyer's happy, and I'm happy because I'm making something out of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes me think, Dozie, the follow-up question to that would be, what mistakes did you avoid, right, by doing a wholesale deal first, like
Yeah.
learning the business that way? So what mistakes did you avoid now that you have your first acquisition?
Yeah. So if yeah, with from doing a wholesale deal first, I got a trained eye from seeing, first of all, from running numbers and then
Mm,
seeing the deal, inspecting it, meeting people. So I could clearly see what good was, right? I could see how my buyers, like the first one I did, the property manager bought for me, from me, he saw that was good. I could see what good was. So I figured eventually I didn't have to take on the risk of, putting 25% down at first and just learning. I could see other people do it and I kind of like wholesale that to them as well. So by the time I was getting ready to buy mine, I'd already seen things that had happened. I had a trained eye to look at a property to see the story. If the foundation was cracked, I can already tell. I can see a property and just like, oh, this is how it is. So when I bought mine, I was like, this is a good deal. I just keep this for myself. And then I already had the money. So all the time I wholesaled was just knowledge waiting for me to get my own deal.
yeah. Dozie, would you say creating the relationship with the seller, getting the story of the deal helps you create the deal, right?
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
100%.
And how did you learn that? I mean, you didn't, who taught you that?
Well, through your guidance, Peter, but it's one of those things that you just do it.
Mm,
You just do it. It's really, you can read books about talking to people, communication, and that's good and all, but like the best way was just doing it. And doing it just taught me more. When I started talking to sellers, I could learn their pain. I could I could hear what they're trying to say. When I started, I'm not even mechanically inclined at all. I didn't know what I was hearing. When someone said a drain pipe or vent, 2x2 plywood, I didn't know none of that. But just hearing them, talking to them, just doing it
yeah.
over time, I started to understand. I started to read body language, hear the voices, and yeah, and just doing it was how I learned. And then knowing what to do was where you came in. You were giving me guidance. Okay, this, because I say do it, but okay, what do I do? And then that's where you come in, right? And give me guidance, but you wouldn't do it for me. You gave me the guidance, and then I was able to do it. And that's how I learned it.
Yeah. Okay, great, great, Dozie. So, Dozie, here's the last question.
Mhm.
If someone wants tonight, has very little money, maybe even limited confidence, okay, and wants to buy apartment someday, just like you, what would you tell them right now?
Well, someone has very limited money, wants to buy apartments someday. What I'll tell them right now, well, if you have limited money, I had limited money, so like I shared earlier, so uh, you can jump in through wholesaling. Uh, but to start, you have to educate yourself. That's paramount. You have to
Mm,
educate yourself. You need the knowledge. I think the knowledge is very, very important. Now, following the knowledge is the doing, the action. You have to then
Mm.
apply that knowledge. And I believe there's no, I'm in this business. There is no way you can be successful in this business without someone who's done it before telling you. Whether it's a mentor, whether your mentor is Peter, whether your mentor is a property manager, an older person, someone who has to have the experience to kind of let you know, because there are pitfalls that can take years or can really burn you. So if you're starting out, you don't have money, that's not the problem. I wouldn't even worry about money first. I'll worry about getting the knowledge.
Mm.
When you get the knowledge, then you can start taking actions. And when you take actions, like me, I didn't have money, you can find creative ways by helping a seller and a buyer, making that happen and making some money for yourself. And you build the confidence, you build the relationships,
Yep.
and that's how you go step by step, and then you can get to your goal.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. All right. Uh, Everyone out there, hopefully you understood what Dozie said, his story and his willingness to take action. So I have a question for out there, for you out there. Who wants to be like Dozie? Right? Who wants to do what Dozie is doing now? You may have limited money. You may have a deal on a contract and maybe may not be looking good for you to close, but you may want to wholesale it. You may have other challenges, but you still want to make money on the deal. So who wants to do what Dozie's doing? All right, look at that, Dozie. All right, so a lot there. All right, so I'm going to give you an opportunity tonight to take action, just like what Dozie did. All right, I'm gonna bring up a poll. Bring up this poll right here. And let me go back here. And here's the poll. All right. And so who would like to learn more about our mentoring program that Dozie's in, that we taught Dozie everything about commercial wholesaling. So Dozie, again, went into acquisitions. The deal didn't work out, but he wanted to make money. So now he's saving his money to do larger deals. So he did enough wholesale deals to do a small multifamily, and now he's going to go into larger multifamily. So who would like to learn more about getting mentored by me and my team? Right? So go ahead and click yes if you like to just learn more. All right. Or if you still want to learn more, but you have some questions, click yes, but I have some questions, and that's fine too. Right? Um, Dozie's 31 years old. He's full of energy and life. And I tell you what, by the time Dozie is 40 years old, his financial picture will be like nothing today. I guarantee it at his pace, right? And so the same could apply to you, but it takes that first step of just wanting to learn more how this all works. Okay, so go ahead and if you click yes if you want to learn more. All right, yes, I have questions. All right, I can see some of the yeses in the chat, but I want you to put your yes in the on the poll right here. So those of you that put yes in the chat, go ahead and put yes on this poll right here, just so we can see who that is. All right, go ahead and do that. All right. All right. So Angie is saying, can we bring deals to Peter? Well, Angie, my goal is I want to do deals with you, like I'm doing with Dozie. All right. So if you want to learn more about doing deals with me and my team, go ahead and click yes, and we can share that with you. All right. Okay. Got it. All right. Now, what I want to do here is for those of you that want to learn more, want to speak with someone tonight, right? There's a poll right there. Who would like to speak with someone tonight? Okay, and learn more. Okay, go ahead and click now, or you can click schedule later. Okay, either one. All right. And again, if you click yes on the chat, go ahead and click right now in the poll. Okay. So because we can't contact you from the chat, but we can have someone reach out to you tonight if you click the poll. So go ahead and click the poll so we can have someone reach out to you tonight. All right. Okay, go ahead and do that. Someone says the poll is not visible. All right, so that's Janet. All right, so Janet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a different screen right here. Let me show you exactly what you can do here. So let me I'm going to end the poll right here. And then what I'm going to do is share my screen for a second. Give me a second here. I'm going to share, where did it go? Whoop, I had it here. There we go. Okay, I'm going to share this screen right here. All right, and look at this screen right here. All right, looks like I need to, okay, I know why I need to end the poll. Let me do that real quick here. Okay, and okay, that's ended. Okay, all right, and let me just share this right here. Okay. Okay, oh, okay, so it wants me to do this. Give me a second here. I'm going to restart this page. And this is for you, Janet, so you can kind of see. So I'm gonna restart this share. So to show you. All right, there we go. All right. Okay, all right. Okay, it says this is a Zoom issue. The window you selected is invalid. So what I'm going to do, Janet, is I'm going to go back. I'm going to end this share right here. Give me a second here. It's not working, but that's okay. Hey, we're live, and sometimes this is what happens, right? This is what happens sometimes. So I'm going to stop the share. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rerun this for Janet and for others, right? For others. So let me redo this right here. I'm going to relaunch this poll right here, all right? For someone who will speak with someone tonight, right? I didn't get a chance to show my screen. So anyone who's interested and want to speak with someone tonight, like yourself, Janet, all right, anyone else, you can go ahead and click now, or you can schedule for later. That's fine too. All right. Okay. All right. And if you look on the chat, there's a link right there for my team, commercialpropertyadvisors.com/schedule, right? You can go there and then you can schedule a call ASAP. Okay. There's our whole calendar pops up there. So feel free to go on to commercialpropertyadvisors.com/schedule and go there and schedule a call. All right. And I look forward to working with you. All right, and go ahead and go through that process. All right. Okay, I'm going to end the poll right here. All right. Okay. All right, and there we go. All right, Dozie, I know that you are on a work trip, right? And you made it back to the hotel room for
Yeah,
this call. So I
yeah.
appreciate you so much.
Thank
Everyone
you.
out there still watching, give Dozie some love. Tell him thank you for coming home from work and being on the call with us. All right, give Dozie some love, everyone out there. Tell him how great he is. Keep encouraging him. All right, there you go, Dozie. All right, people love you out there and they appreciate you so much. And so do we, Dozie, right? Your
Thank you.
story's powerful. The best is yet to come for you. The
Amen.
best is yet to come.
Amen.
So thank you so much, Dozie. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. What I want to do next is I'm going to share a video with you all, right, that I want you to watch. That will appear in about a few seconds. And then I'll see you all next week.